I think Hannah started to say, why am I podcasting? Why do I do this? I mentioned before, I don't know if I mentioned on this Realty Talk, I definitely mentioned it on the Gaelan Trombley show, is the reason I podcast is a bunch of reasons. Number one is selfishly I like it, meaning I like podcasting, I like listening to it, so I just thought it'd be fun that I can host my own podcast and talk to a lot of people. Number two, that's from that standpoint. Number two, I get to know people a little bit better on the Gaelan Trombley show because it's a longer conversation. I learn stuff about people every single time. Ellie's been on a couple times, and I keep learning new stuff about her, so that's good. And in regards to everybody else, why I did Realty Talk is it's probably the only thing I think I really know a lot about that I could actually tell people, meaning I have some knowledge in other random aspects of life, but probably not enough that I could center around a podcast where people would want to hear me talk about. So this is really me kind of scratching that itch of allowing me to hopefully give back to clients. I know other agents in the area listen to this, which is fine. Like I said, I'm all for real estate is one of those I really believe there's a ton of business to go around, and I'm not like a chipmunk hoarding and like waiting for like to hibernate in the winter. Like I'm fine to share, and I love it when other realtors do well. I think it elevates my game, and I think our company's game, and I think it just provides a better experience for everybody in the area. So I encourage them to listen to this and take what they can away from it. And also it allows me from a marketing standpoint to chop it up and use it for different content creation later on. And we've been able to do that with a lot of help from Jordan. And that's been kind of cool, which allows me, again, to spread the message and to hopefully help people in a platform that I put out a free content that with people can get in knowledge, and it helps people out. Because I think people think they know stuff about real estate, but when it really comes down to it, they don't know a lot, meaning buyers and sellers. And I think that they might know a general concept, but there's a lot of nuances of the business that I hope to talk about and that help people out. So that's why I do the podcast.
So how long were you planning before you actually launched your first podcast?
Probably a year.
You were planning for a whole year?
Yeah, I think I had it down that I wanted to do a podcast for a year. I've been listening to podcasts for years, like multiple, probably 3, 4, 5 years consistently.
Oh, wow.
And then I was always like, hey, I just want to, it'd be cool to do one. And then I never really got over the hump or where I wanted to do it. And I don't think I really had a reasoning to do it. And it kind of just came to fruition at the end of last year. And I talked with my buddy Matt, who runs Craigcast, Matt Craig. Look him up, great dude. And he was one that I always gave him shit for not starting to do something. I always had it, but I don't think I was really super serious about doing it. And then literally one day I talked to him, within an hour came back, had all this ordered and shipped. And within the week I actually had him on my first podcast. I did not know how to run this thing. I was literally learning how to use it prior to him walking in. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know anything. But that, as you guys know, that's usually what I do, is I just start and try something and hopefully it works out. If not, we adjust and keep moving forward. But we're constantly doing stuff and improving and expanding and going forward. So that's just my mindset of always getting better. Any other questions, Hannah?
Well, I just think that starting it now is probably the best idea, just because I think a lot of people are now listening to podcasts more than ever. I think it's really upcoming thing for people to jump in on.
Yeah, and I think something like this is it going to be like a nationally syndicated thing? No, it's not. I mean, if it does, that's pretty cool. But if probably Realty Talk. I don't think Gaelan Trombley show, because Ellie brings a lot. Ellie brings that wow factor that's going to get us on that next level.
Yeah.
But I think from a local standpoint though, there's a lot of local podcasts that people are doing, and I think it's cool. I got some good buddies that do podcasts, and I think even though they're local, do it at a pretty professional level, meaning it's not just something they record on their phone and it's really bad quality. I think we've all invested in equipment, and we've all put time into our guests and who we want, and just try to make it overall a good experience and hopefully listening experience for people, and they get something to take away. I think that's it. I mean, I think it's fun too. I've got a lot of positive feedback. I've gotten very little negative feedback, and if it does, it doesn't really bother me. I don't care. And the positive feedback's fun because it just validates it, or people say, hey, enjoy listening to it. It's good.
Yeah.
But I think we're at 1,500 downloads right now, which is
nice.
Quite a bit. I mean, to me, that means 1,500 people doesn't mean 1,500 different people, but it's been downloaded 1,500 times. So Ellie listens to every episode, I know, so that would be 40 downloads just because of Ellie, but no, realistically, I think each show gets like 30 to 40 downloads.
That's
awesome.
So you have to download each episode, and what's
it gets
between subscribing?
Like if you it's kind of both. Like if you go download, you can like go. Sometimes I will search podcasts and I'll find a random podcast I want to listen to. It might not be something I want to subscribe to, but maybe if I know some guest that I want to listen to is on some random podcast, I'll listen just because that person's on it, not necessarily because who the host is. And there's other podcasts like a Joe Rogan who I just follow him because I really like him, and then I just listen to as people come on, I'll listen to them.
So in order to listen to a podcast, like an individual episode, you have to download it.
Okay.
So if you subscribe to someone, you can make it so it automatically downloads, but you can also just find an episode, download it, listen to it, and then leave and never touch them again.
Yeah, so I believe when a download is someone that actually listens to it.
Yeah.
Because I think even if it pops up on your feed,
You have to like hit download to get it on your phone.
you actually have to play it to have it like considered, even if it's a subscription. Yeah. So, and then the local podcasts, like Craigcast and Stories of Gumption with Ryan Lee. Those two, they're very good friends of mine, and they both do it. And I think the quality is there, the guests are there, and I enjoy listening to those. So I'll put those on. Like I said, just to kind of know, like I like local news and stuff more than national. Like I'll listen to like a Joe Rogan, which is cool, but like I like the local people that I can talk or listen to, because one of them that was just on one of those podcasts, I reached out and I have a meeting next week with them. I knew them before, but just kind of like, hey, I actually listened to something that was interesting, and I think that we maybe can help each other out in certain aspects. So it's kind of, it gives me a little background, and especially because I'm trying to really build our community up, playing our small part with others and trying to make the community better and try to grow it and try to have just positivity and good people in the area that hopefully will just, like you said, the quote over there, a rising tide raises all ships, meaning that if we can all raise the tide or the energy or the economic level of our community, everybody will benefit. So that's kind of my thing, is not to be, I think it was funny, as you know, I listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk stuff. It's not, he always says, I'm not trying to tear people down, I'm trying to build the biggest building. I'm not trying to tear anybody down, I'm just trying to build the biggest building. Like, I hope all the skyscrapers get as big as me, I just hope I'm just going to grow the biggest. Like, but he's not doing it from a standpoint of like, I'm going to Godzilla all you down to the ground, so mine's the only one standing. And I try to kind of look at that perspective. I'm trying to, you guys know me enough, especially Ellie, is I'm very blinders on, where I really focus on our own stuff, and it was just so cool. I was describing or talking to them about some of the, kind of looking at stats and production and just overall like goodwill of people in the area. I think we're making a positive impact, our company is, and that's makes me extremely happy because we're doing some good stuff.
Yeah, well, I think that's also the only way to do it. Like, there's no way you can just, be the tallest standing building. Like, you need, like, people to support you and to rise with you at the same time. Like, it's impossible to do it all yourself. So,
Rookie.
yeah.